against the same opposition. What did you just say?
Another Saturday, another Let's Football live show, guys. My name is Suyash, and I'm here to ruminate about what is it about our league? So many goals being scored on a weekly basis. We've had a fantastic week since the last time you and I met over here. And like last week, I will have company with me once again this week. Also, a very, very special guest joining us on the show, but more on that later. So without further ado, let me welcome Shaiju Damodaran, Pulasta Dhar, and Kaushik to once again go through the motions of what we love discussing about the Hero Indian Super League. Guys, how's your day been? Let me start with Pulasta. Pulasta, enjoying your Saturday today?
Oh, well, I had an interview with Manolo Diaz at 7 in the morning, so I am enjoying my Saturday today. but no, apart from that, I know that you're going to quickly ask me what stood out over the past week.
So predictable.
And I think Mumbai hitting gear. I mean, hitting a certain kind of momentum, because for me, Bengaluru, ATK Mohun Bagan, Jamshedpur, all different kinds of tests. And Des Buckingham seems to have found a way. And if you ask me for a moment, then a couple, the Kamara goal and of course Angulo's fantastic finish on the turn. I think those two really stand out. But Mumbai hitting momentum, I think that's very real. It's a very real thing that's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that loss against Hyderabad FC seems like an aberration now. But Shaiju Chetan, what about you? What was your highlight of this last week in the Hero ISL?
Yes, Suyash, Pulasta and Kaushik, a very happy Saturday to all of you.
It's always happy with you around, sir. Always happy.
So, Suyash, as you asked me, see the second the win again for Kerala Blasters against Odisha at the start of the season. For me, it was the best moment for me to say the highlight of the week for me is absolutely the Kerala Blasters first win, because of a couple of reasons. Because that win after 319 days, to be very precise, because the last win for Kerala Blasters in Hero ISL was 2021 20th January against Bengaluru. After that, after a barren 319 days, we have a win, at least in
Trust
Hero
you
Indian
to keep
Super.
tabs on your team. Trust you to keep tabs on how many days it has been.
Yeah, and of course, first win of the season, and that too against Odisha. Kerala Blasters defeated Odisha for the first time in ISL. They were in red hot form. We know 9 goals in 2 matches. So plenty of us to celebrate. But not Kerala Blasters. Like Pulasta already mentioned, 2 win back-to-back great wins for Mumbai. 19 goals already scored. I think 19, 16 or 19 in 5 matches. And a shocking last week highlight is the ATK Mohun Bagan's dismal performance. That defeat against Jamshedpur was shocking and surprising.
Yeah, but credit to Jamshedpur FC as well, because they're in a patch of good form, although they did lose their last game. Varun, if I come to you, what was your highlight of the week?
So I think most of my favorites were already covered by Shaiju and Pulas, but for me it was a 7-goal thriller one. Goa and East Bengal both looking for their first win, but bad luck for us, Goa got it. But it was a good match. Goa scoring, then East Bengal equalizing. It went on, and then 3-3, and then finally 4-3 could have been in favor of East Bengal, but Perasuvic didn't give the pass. So it was Goa winning. Juan Ferrando's first points in fact of the season, but still he was not happy. So I think that match was a highlight for me.
Yeah, talking of highlights, apart from everything that was mentioned by a very lovely crew over here, we also had a bunch of other goals being scored throughout the week. So guys, without further ado, let's go straight in to our goals of the week. I'm feeling like the 80s. I don't know why. Any clues on why that's happening before that? The previous results are there.
It's because Shaiju chose the music.
Oh yeah, we saw his dance moves in the previous show as well. So that's no surprise. But what is surprising was, like we mentioned earlier, that loss that of course ATK Mohan Bagan suffered to Jamshedpur FC. We can see that in the previous fixtures at the list that was there in front of you. And the Hero ISL table, owing to those results, looks a bit like this. Mumbai City FC consolidating their position on the top. Jamshedpur FC and Mumbai City FC almost had a straight shootout for that first position. But now Odisha FC sneak into that second position. FC Goa have managed to rise by one position by beating SC East Bengal. So they've got their first points of the season on the board. But that middle ground occupied by Hyderabad FC and Chennai FC, that I think, in my opinion, is what going to define the rest of the season. That fight for the top four is honestly going to be fascinating to watch. But before we come to more fights on the top four, Pulast, I wanted to ask you about Northeast United FC's first win of the season. Khalid Jamil's first win as permanent Indian head coach in the history of the Hero ISL. A momentous occasion, some would say. But overall, Northeast United FC did not particularly do well in their last game as well. So why are they kind of blowing hot and cold right now, as we have the highlights of Northeast United FC's win playing just in a second as you speak?
I think what they do, I think Gallego, of course, is a big miss. And we have confirmation, obviously, about a progressive passer coming into the pitch, someone who can play the ball forward. I know Casa Kamara is so good at like keeping tabs at the back. Courier is really good as well, but they just need someone creative, a presence in there. And they are creating chances. I mean, even if you look at the loss last night, I mean, they had a lot of shots. It's just not going in. But for me, what has changed the most is Khalid Jamil now. He looks like a very brave coach. He's willing to take the risk. That safety first approach is gone. He took off. He made a sub at 17 minutes, which is, I think, big in that win against Goa. He put on Deshaun Brown for the last 20, even though he was not 100%. He's going for wins. And I think for me, this is a very enjoyable version of Khalid Bhai that we are watching. And I hope it translates into points as well.
Yeah. And also you met Casa Kamara as well, right? After he scored that winner, giving Northeast United FC their first win of the season. What did he say to you about the goal? What was your conversation like?
The first thing I was surprised is not a very big guy, which is surprising. So the upper body strength is like quite something. I mean, obviously on TV, he looks like a big defensive midfielder, but he's actually nice and athletic. So he was not intimidating.
I like how you put that. Nice and athletic.
Yeah. So it's not very intimidating. I had a great conversation with him. He told me that the minute that ball was rolling towards him, there are just some points where, when you hit it, it's going in. And when he connected with that shot, he was almost sure in his head that that's going in. And for him, it's a rare thing, right? He doesn't score too many goals. But you see, he's been given the freedom to go up 10 yards. He told me that Khalid Jamil said, if you have to step in, do it. And if he's going to step in like that, we want him to step into the attack a lot more often.
Yeah. Go for it, Shaiju Damodaran.
But I have a different point to compliment Pulasta and Northeast United. So have you people noticed yesterday's post-match with Deshaun? Have you people noticed?
I didn't have the chance to watch it, but fill us in.
Deshaun said he was very disappointed about the result, obviously. And he was very disappointed with the body language also. And he clearly pointed out, when we know he's a striker, everybody knows he's a striker. And if a team assigning somebody to play behind the striker as a false nine position, he should stick to the team plan. So if Deshaun saying the false nine is always running in front of me, which creates a lot of chaos in the attacking third when Northeast approaching the final third. So 19 shots and only 2 shots on target. So that's it. That is a real problem behind.
Yeah, and Deshaun Brown in general, after a loss, you can see it on his face. He's very candid in his interviews after post-match, doesn't really hesitate or hold back in terms of even presenting his analysis of what in specific went wrong for his team on the night. So that's actually some fascinating insight from Deshaun Brown. We will have, however, more fascinating insight from a very special individual that I mentioned at the top of the show who's going to be joining us. He's actually played for one of the teams that we're going to be speaking about next. So without further ado, like I always say, please welcome ex-KBFC, ex-BFC, and overall nice guy, Darren Caldeira, to our Let's Football Live show. Darren, so good to see your face. How are you doing?
Well, thanks for that introduction. I like the nice guy bit the best actually from the entire
I'm not
introduction.
lying.
But I'm absolutely buzzing to be here. I mean, I interact with you and Pulasta often, but now I got Shaiju sir and Varun here, so that's amazing. Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure, Darren. We're actually very excited to pick your brain on a few things that have happened and a few trends that we've noticed evolving in the Hero Indian Super League, in particular with relevance to your ex-teams, Bengaluru FC and Kerala Blasters FC. Now, BFC started the season well with the win, got off the mark. Since then, it's just seemed to be a downward trajectory for them. They're not being creative enough. They're not getting the wins under the belt. Even against Hyderabad FC, they weren't at their fluent best. So what do you think is going wrong with Bengaluru FC at the moment? Why are they struggling to create so many chances as we see the highlights of their game against Hyderabad FC come up on our screens right now?
Well, they've got a couple of issues, I would say, defensively as well. But, talking about going up front, I think they're lacking a creative midfielder is what I think. They don't have, that somebody who can, probably create something like a Hugo Bumo, for example, a Luna in Kerala Blasters, somebody who can tread those through balls, feed the strikers up front. That's where they're lacking, I feel. You see Suresh a lot of times in the opposition half, and he's the one trying to play those through balls. And we know Suresh is not that kind of player. He's the one who's going to be, working hard, putting in those tackles. They've got a couple of injuries which are not helping them as well. Udanta is out, Ibarra is out at the moment. We hear Iman as well is injured. So that's not helping the team as well. And, there's a lot of responsibility, I think, on Clayton Silva at the moment to get those goals. Because you see Sunil Chhetri, somebody, by the lofty standards he's set, he's not firing at the moment. So that's another problem for them. So who's going to create those chances? I think Jayesh Rane, we've seen, phases of him, patches of him in and around, the games. He's doing well when he gets on the ball. But apart from him, there's nobody else who's really creating anything in the middle of the park. So, they are struggling with that at the moment. They need to figure out a way where they can feed the players up front. Clayton Silva needs a lot more support going forward. So if they can fix that, I think they'll be a lot more dangerous going forward.
Yeah. Darren, we saw Danish Farouk making a few passes in that highlight reel that's playing right now. Is there a case for him to perhaps be starting games? Because a personal observation is that whenever he's come onto the pitch, he's been lively, he's created goals. So Marco Pezzaioli, is he lining the Danish Farouk for a potential start, do you feel?
That's a great point, Suyash. I feel Danish Farouk has that ability. The couple of games you've seen him come on, he plays a little deeper sometimes, which I don't really like him in that position. He should be further up the field. But you see, whenever he gets on the ball, he's a lot more composed, very, very relaxed on the ball, and can play those passes. But the question is, who will Marco drop if he's got to start with Danish, right? He's got Suresh there, probably who does a lot of the hard work and wins the balls in midfield. He's got Bruno Ramirez. I don't think he's going to drop a foreigner and get Danish in. Will he drop Jayesh Rane? That's another question. So the thing is, yes, is he going to show that faith in Danish? Because every time he comes on, he kind of changes the game for BFC. But the question is, who is he going to drop? So these are big decisions for Marco Pezzaioli that he has to make. But things that he needs to fix ASAP, because they are dropping points every game going forward, and they need to start picking up those points because if they want to challenge, the top 4 teams.
Yeah. We have one person on the screen right now who we can actually entrust with this responsibility of asking Marco Pezzaioli this question about Danish Farouk the next time he meets him, Pulasta. But let's talk about the last time you met Marco Pezzaioli. It was after, again, one of the losses that Bengaluru FC suffered. What was your conversation with him like? What kind of a mood was he in?
In fact, I think he's a great interviewee, talks very honestly, talks very straight, does not hide anything. What he told me that stood out for me was that he's had to unteach a lot of things, uncoach rather a lot of things from the Bengaluru side before even coaching something. And one of the things he brought up was in the previous systems, there was a lot of sideways passing, backwards passing, which is, of course, it fits in a system. But what he wants is he wants more risky play, more progressive passes, look up every time, try to play the ball forward more often than not, rather than just focus on creating.
But his team seems to be doing the opposite at the moment, even though that's what he wants.
So that's what I think the message is that it takes time to shift to a radical system. Now, the ins and outs, the nitty-gritties of that, obviously, Darren as a player would know how much a player can soak up and how much time it takes to unlearn things before learning a new system. But he said 70% of my message has gotten across. Is that 30% in the final third? They want to win the ball up high. They want to do all these things. It's probably not easy. It does not translate as easily as it is saying it right now. Oh, hey, you must press high. It does not happen overnight.
True.
So I think he's trying to find that. And before that all clicks, I think there will be a few results that this is a natural course of a team in an evolution, I believe. I don't know. That's what it looks from the outside.
No, Pulas, actually, just to touch on that, Pulas mentioned, Marco mentioning the uncoaching aspect of training, but I watched Marco the end of last season. They got him in really early. So the end of last season, I saw him at the stadium, watching the BFC games. And then he came in really early. They had the AFC Cup. So he's had time with the team. It's not like he hasn't had time. So he's had a lot of more months. He's had a couple of other tournaments as well. He's had a long preseason in Bellary at their training ground.
Right.
So, and the thing is, Indian football, you don't get a lot of time. As you notice, it's not a long league. You get a few games and that's where you got to prove your mettle.
Yeah.
So, I think he's got time with the team. From what we hear is he likes to play a fast-paced game. He likes to, if he loses the ball, he wants to win it back in a couple of seconds. When he wins the ball back, he wants them attacking with pace. That transition from defense to attack, he wants that quick. The thing is, does he have the right personnel for it? He's got a few players with a lot more energy in the pitch, but then you have to ask questions of a couple of other players as well. Like, does he have the right personnel? The thing is, you can see what he's trying to do, but in the final third, but it's not happening for him. Like Pulasta mentioned, they are getting to the opposition box, but they're just not clinical in front of goal. And that's been a problem for them.
Yeah. Yes. Darren, Shaiju Damodaran, coming to the reference that you made about Bengaluru FC before the season started. Darren, Shaiju Damodaran called BFC the CSK of the Hero ISL. So I'll just leave it to you, Chetan, to explain to Darren why that analogy came about, and do you think it still holds true?
I still stand in my statement that Bengaluru is a CSK of ISL, because I made that statement purely upon the consistency which Bengaluru showed in the past couple of seasons. We know they are the most consistent team in the ISL, like the real CSK in IPL. But like Pulasta and Darren rightly said, I also think this is not the tactical problem. Abhi jo ho raha hai Bengaluru ke sath is not a tactical problem. They're just missing that final ingredient. Or they're just missing that secret element to score goals. That is a very sorry state of affairs. So this is not the curse of Marco Peccioli, because this is not a tactical problem. See, Darren, my question is, do you believe Bengaluru is facing some post-Miku era problems? Because Miku was there at the time when Miku played with Sunil Chhetri. Front line पे कुछ problem नहीं दिख रहा था. Front line was intact. Miku scoring goals, Chhetri complementing. But after Miku left, problems started coming one by one. So, according to you, Darren, my question: who can bring the lady luck of goals again for Bengaluru?
No, like you mentioned, Shaiju sir, I mean, they haven't replaced Miko, obviously. We saw Miko, the pedigree, he had the qualities, he had, every time he got the ball, you would expect him scoring a goal. He was that sort of a player. And I had this conversation with Eric as well, and he mentioned, because Eric played with Miko and he was in midfield with him. So Eric was like, our responsibility was just to get the ball to Miko, and the rest he would do. So do they have that player right now? Unfortunately, I don't think they do. They've got Clayton Silva, a really good striker, up front, but I think there's too much of responsibility on him. Then they've got Sunil Chhetri, another player who gets the team out of, all sorts of difficulties, scores brilliant goals, scores those difficult goals, but at the moment he's not firing. So have they replaced Miku? No, they haven't replaced Miku, and they need to find that sort of a player. And then again, there are questions, have they gotten the right personnel in the transfer market? Have they bought the right foreigners? That's another conversation altogether. But at the moment, like you mentioned, Shaiju sir, they're missing that creative spark. That's somebody who can, on a bad day, sometimes just make something happen. That bit of magic for BFC, they're lacking that at the moment.
Yeah, Darren, you touched upon Sunil Chhetri also, and honestly, Chhetri in the right positions can have that impact and can have the necessary impact on how BFC want to progress now going further in the Hero ISL. Of course, he gave a very, very candid interview to the club as well, and he spoke about how they want to regroup and rebuild. But he himself, at least in front of goal when he's taking penalties, doesn't seem to be, going in the right, literally speaking, the right direction, because the last 2 penalties that he's taken have both been scored. Let's just have footage of his last penalty save, rather, by Mohammad Nawaz against Mumbai City FC, and then we'll come back to him after that. Darren, just straight off the bat, last 2 penalties that Sunil Chhetri has taken, both to the keepers, right? Is he getting too predictable with how he's taking his penalties?
Well, it's very uncharacteristic of Sunil Chhetri missing penalties in the first place, and now he's missed 2 in a row. I don't think I would like to go back and actually have a look and see if he's ever missed 2 in a row in his career. Very rarely. And yeah, both penalties he's missed, he's gone to the keepers, right? So you're asking me if he's predictable, but we've seen him also score, those Panenkas. We've seen him, score to the keepers left as well. It's, as somebody who's, I've not taken a lot of penalties, but at least when I've practiced those penalties, there are some guys who like to decide beforehand. They already choose their spot. They know where they're going, whether it's keeper's right or it's the left. And there's some players who decide to take it, when they're on the field, they try to figure out where the keeper will probably move and things like that. And like we mentioned, there's a lot of, cat and mouse. There's a bit of a cat and mouse game between the goalkeeper and the striker. Sometimes you'll find a keeper walking up to the player taking the penalty and, holding onto the ball a little longer and just, playing with his confidence, getting back to the goal line, and they'll be probably pointing to one direction or the other, trying to say like, okay, probably go to my right, let's see, and things like that. But, Sunil's been here and done this for a long time. I don't think he gets fazed by any of that. But yeah, then again, it's one of those things. We asked Marco as well, that Sunil's missed 2 penalties. Is he going to take the 3rd one? Probably. Is that going to happen? And Marco straight up said it's whoever's confident at that moment will take the penalty. And Sunil Chhetri is a player who's never short on confidence. He's somebody, I've seen him before as well in the BFC first season, 2013, 2014. I think he went around 5 or 6 games without scoring. And then everyone started asking those questions again. Oh my God, is Sunil Chhetri, is it over? Will he be able to score again? And he ended up being the joint top scorer at the end of the season. And that's how good he is. He just needs that one goal. But yeah, it's not working for penalties at the moment, but we know Sunil Chhetri, right? He gets one in, he'll probably start banging the goals all over again.
Fascinating insight, Darren. Now, going from a team which hasn't won the game after winning their first game of the season in the opening week, let's go to a team that actually did register their first win of the season. Of course, I'm talking about Kerala Blasters FC. Now, Shaiju Chetan, which is going to have the highlights of that game of KBFC against Odisha FC play up on the screen. How big was this win for KBFC, and how much of a relief would the players be feeling right now?
Big, really big, Suyash, because like I said earlier already, I said after 319 days, Kerala Blasters registered their win in Hero ISL. First ever win against Odisha in Hero ISL. And of course, the first win of the season. And I think we all believe we live at a time when people are talking about booster shots regarding the corona COVID treatment. So I feel from KBFC perspective, this was a very, very valuable booster shot which KBFC badly needed. So we got it, that booster shot. So kindly wait for our next game. So this is it, a great win against Odisha. And Odisha, like I said earlier, red hot form, already scored 9 goals in 2 matches. And like we are watching right now, K. Prashant playing his 50th ISL game, first goal, and Alvaro Vasquez, first goal. So actually see the way they controlled the midfield in that game, and everything was masterminded by Adrian Luna. Great things. So if they can repeat, it's a long league. So Kerala Blasters still have got a great chance to go further forward.
Yeah, Chetan, I just want to ask Darren, since you played for Kerala Blasters previously, of course, in a non-COVID season as well. Firstly, what is the experience playing like for that club in front of those fans? And very honestly, how did you deal with the pressure of expectations when you were a KBFC player?
Well, it wasn't, a phenomenal experience. And my actually the initial bit when we started off was actually an interaction with Shaiju. So I remember he was reading out all the names and introducing the players to everybody that had gathered. And I remember then, like, you gave me an introduction of a nice guy, and Shaiju sir called me Darling Darren. And that was my introduction to KBFC. But yeah, I mean, I had an unfortunate injury just before the season started, so it took me a while to pick off. But the club is phenomenal. The fans are amazing. I cannot tell you. There's so much of support coming in. There's, irrespective of the results, sometimes sometimes it doesn't go your way, but they're always encouraging the players. There are a lot of good messages coming in. I got some of them in Malayalam, which I didn't understand, and I would always look to Prashant, because he would always be around a Hakku and ask them, what does this mean? And a lot of support coming in. It's a massive club. It's a massive club, and I think it's important. The last couple of seasons haven't been going well. It's important for the club, and not just the club, the fans as well, because they expect so much every season. And I think Ivan has something going here. Before the game, we had a chat with Ivan, actually a long chat pitch side, and I felt like there was pressure on KBFC coming into that game, but he was completely relaxed. He was so relaxed, and I was in my thinking, how is he so relaxed? Because there is pressure. They need to start winning games and things like that. But he spoke about the atmosphere in the camp. He spoke about how every player, there's a great camaraderie. Everyone is very happy with coaching, with training, and it's a great bunch of people. And you could see that in the performance. Yes, they did get 3 points. Sometimes you see teams not playing the best football, but getting 3 points. But if you look at that performance from Kerala Blasters, they had a plan coming into that game. They were pressing high. They were not making sure Harvey didn't get enough of the ball. Vinith Rai didn't get enough of the ball. They were pressing them early. And it was absolutely brilliant to see Vasquez getting on the score sheet as well. And just for somebody who's played at the club previously, and to see how much it meant to a lot of the players, because I spoke to them after the game, and they were just so happy and delighted. The important question is now they need to build up on that. You just can't win one game and then go back and start dropping points again. They need to use that, that those 3 points, get a bit of momentum there going, and hopefully going forward, they can start winning more games.
Yeah, Darren, on that note, like you said, they can't just win one game and then go back to losing. You can't just do one Let's Football Live show and then go back to doing none. So as I wrap up your stint on the first show, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Shaiju Damodaran, do you want to quickly say bye to darling Darren?
No. Before saying goodbye to my darling Darren, I have a particular question to you regarding KBFC. I think these days the defense seems a bit exhausted. The defense, all the 4 players, including Cabra, Jessel, Sipo, Lesko, all 30 plus. So do you think that this over exhaustion of the defense may have adverse effect in a long run for KBFC?
Well, that's a good question, Shaiju. So actually, I remember asking Ivan again this question about Sipovic and Leskovic in defense, and do you think at any point you would want to replace one of the foreigners and maybe rest them and get Jorge Diaz play up front or something of that sort? Would you want to do that? But he was very, very certain about not changing his defense. He was like, I will not change the defense. The defense needs to stay the same, because they are the ones who are going to keep a clean sheet. And it's up to the strikers, the midfielders to get me my goals. So yeah, that's a good question, because sometimes there are games every 3 days, and how do you manage? And I've been playing in that season where Jessel was there, and Jessel was outstanding that season, his first season at KBFC, where he not only played every single game, but he did not miss a single training session. And that speaks a lot about the kind of work he does off the pitch as well. He takes care of himself. It's important that they don't get any injuries. That's another thing. Cabra, I've seen Cabra's fitness levels as well. I watched the game against FC Goa. He was bombing down that right flag around the 90th minute, and that speaks a lot volumes of the fitness conditioning of the players as well. But like you mentioned, Shaiju, so I think it's important that they don't get any injuries. Ivan has made it clear that he's not going to change that backline. I think he's going to stick with that as long as there are no injuries. And it's just about keeping every player fit, and a bit of squad rotation we'll definitely see going ahead.
Chetan, if you have any more questions for Darren, write them in to me. I will ask them in person, and then I will have them make him make sure that he answers those questions in the next LFL episode as well.
Shaiju sir, I have Shaiju sir's number. We'll just probably get on a Zoom call of our own.
You can ask him for the Malayalam translations also. You don't have to depend on a Hakku or a Sanal anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on Let's Football Live, Darren. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you around. Take care. Stay well.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye. Well, that was overall nice guy, Darren Caldeira. From Darren, darling Darren, as Shaiju Damodaran referred to him in his unveiling when he was at Kerala Blasters FC. Let's go to another team that got their first win. FC Goa got their first win earlier in the week. And we have visuals of FC Goa getting that win, playing SC East Bengal, just coming up in a second on your screen. But Pulast, FC Goa manager Juan Ferrando looked like he'd lost a cup final after that game. Like, why do you think he was unhappy with the victory?
Because control. So yeah, he wants control. He wants his team to have control of the match, and this was not a game in which his team had control. At the same time, they could have easily lost the game. We know how many chances East Bengal had and did not convert. So that is another thing. Can he express a little happiness? Of course, but pressure. And these are not FC Goa goals. If you look at these goals, yes, they've got in. You take what you get. But at the end of the day, if a head coach is, and he's very serious about having a template, he wants a particular kind of a methodology to the way they go forward. Is this going to do their confidence good? That is primary, the mental and emotional happiness. Beyond that, I hope it becomes the template that he wants, the balance that we've been, he's found it hard to get the right selection out there, which for foreigners and all of that, change the formation to a 3 at the back this time. Yeah. So there is an openness now to, accepting the fact, hey, I need to try something new. At the same time, he doesn't want to get carried away by a 4-3.
Yeah, and Varun, we saw SC East Bengal conceding 4 goals in that footage that we just saw as well. SC East Bengal don't seem to have a problem going ahead. Perosovic is banging those goals in. It sometimes looks like he's playing for fun, but they do have a leaky defense, don't they?
Right, but I would like to disagree with this point after that Chennai match, especially because they kept a clean sheet and they came back and they conceded 4 goals. But for this match, the first goal when they conceded, I think Shubham could have done better. It was a long range shot and he had a lot of time, to do something better. Probably save the ball. And then the penalty that they conceded, Saurav Das, I think could have avoided because Seriton was not facing the goal. He was going out of the box. So he did that penalty out there. And then Perosovic goal was an own goal, unlucky for him. And also at the end, I think Perosovic was selfish. He could have given the pass. East Bengal could have celebrated, but the celebrations were not there. During that time, it was Goa, scoring that goal and Juan Ferrando's celebrations he did. So I think
Varun, you're saying that SC East Bengal didn't lose owing to a leaky defense, but individual mistakes. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, but defense is leaky. But I think this match, apart from the defense, I think these points would also add on to them losing points.
Well, onto happier aspects of SC East Bengal, and in particular SC East Bengal's Hira, diamond in their team in defense, Hira Mandal. Now, Varun, you happened to go to Hira Mandal's house earlier in the week and meet his mother. Of course, Star Sports did a very beautiful segment on after he was adjudged hero of the match. He called up his mother and said, all that meant to me was seeing the smile on her face. So how was it actually meeting his mother?
Well, it was really nice, she is very sweet, humble, and, the struggle is really real, as in for the ones who are struggling right now, in any sort of games, I think Hira Mandal is an inspiration for them. And also his mother's lines, the son doesn't need to worry about his mother, you just carry on playing. And she's always he has to improve. And the only thing she misses, and, she had tears in her eyes, was about the lunch and the dinners, she cooking for her son. So that is the thing that Hira is missing probably.
Yeah, I mean, really puts into perspective how much the Hero ISL means for a lot of the players who have gone through a background of struggles, so to speak, and seeing him do so well for SC East Bengal. We'll just have a video of his performance against Chennai and FC come up on the screen as well. And Varun, defensively solid performance for which he won the hero of the match in that game.
Absolutely. And I think Hira is, one of the most consistent players in the side right now. Rafiq is also another one of them. And maybe they know that, the passion that the East Bengal fans have for the team. And Hira has been outstanding. And everyone has been, praising him and the sprints he takes. And from his wings, he doesn't allow any attacks to come on. And sometimes in a match, I've also seen he going to the right and then finishing off the left, to defend the shots or the strikes that the opponents want. So I think one of the most consistent players, and I think he has to continue with this, and he's winning a lot of hearts. So all the best wishes basically for Hira Mandal for his outstanding performance, consistent performance, and he has to continue with this.
Yep. talking about outstanding performances, as you see him making that clearance once again, keeping the Chennai FC attackers at bay. We also had outstanding performances earlier in the week by Jamshedpur FC, as we alluded to earlier at the top of the show as well, beating ATK Mohun Bagan at the GMC Athletic Stadium in Bambolim. But then again, going down in their next game to Mumbai City FC, as we'll have footage of that game playing right about now. Pulas, do you feel that Jamshedpur deserved to lose this game against Mumbai City FC? Bit harsh on them?
Yeah, because I don't think there was a lack of effort. I don't think they did not come with a game plan and they failed to execute it. Nothing of that kind. Mumbai City were just more clinical. But this is, look at this. How do you defend that? I mean, you can't plan for that. You really can't plan for that. So did they deserve to? No, I don't think so. But they have. That is the harsh reality of it. And I think they'll pick themselves up. There's a lot of good things to take from here as well. But I think the fight back, you can see the fight back. If this was any other team, Mumbai City have great depth on the bench, probably the best bench out there, because this is what players can come off and do for them from the bench. So if this was any other team, which was not the defending champions, then I believe Jamshedpur would have been, they would have completed the turnaround. Yeah,
Varun, with the Khabi celebration that was done by Igor Katatau in the last game as well. But guys, again, Jamshedpur FC are going to give us a lot of good moments in the Hero ISL in the future. And talking of moments, right? We have on this episode lined up our Terra Virtua moment. Now, Terra Virtua has teamed up with the Hero ISL to be their official digital collectibles partner, and you can log on to terravirtua.io/ISL to catch all of the digital collectibles that are there on the portfolio. Talking of which, we had a moment worthy of being a Terra Virtua moment earlier in the week. We touched upon it earlier. It was Khasa Kamara's goal against FC Goa, which gave Northeast United FC their first win of the season and made Khalid Jamil the first permanent Indian head coach to register a victory in the Hero Indian Super League. Take a look at these celebrations. These are some special moments. Take a look.
Gajinder's throw. Kamara, can he win it? Kamara, can he win it? Wowee! He hardly ever scores. Khasa Kamara. He scored one international goal in his career. He scored one club goal in his entire career. He's thrashed it in beyond Dheeraj. It's 3 points for Northeast United, and that is a collector's item.
Absolute stunning strike, but it's all because of Deshaun. Deshaun Brown comes on, hold the ball up and just rolls it into Kamara, and look at this, doesn't need a second invitation, bang! That ball flies as true as a bullet straight into the back of the net. And is it this last gasp drama that we said here that happens?
Look at how much that meant to Khalid Jamil and Khasa Kamara.
He tried to do that yesterday as well with his left foot. I saw him flash a shot just over with his left foot last night, and I think he's got goals in him. I think there's going to be one more from Kamara this season from that kind of range.
Noted, locked and sealed. You have it on record now, Pulas. We will hold you accountable for that. You spoke about left feet. Talking about left feet goals now, we saw a lot of left foot goals in our ongoing EISL as well. Like I have mentioned in previous shows, LFL shows as well, the EISL, the parallel FIFA 22 league that's happening in conjunction with the Hero ISL. At the same time, you had 22 esports players battle it out amongst each other to get a chance to represent their respective clubs. And left foot goals, there were a few left foot goals that we saw being scored in the Hero ISL last week. Take a look at this particular left foot goal. And I'm going to ask you guys if you saw any similarities between the two goals after this video is done. Take a look.
Let's see another opportunity for Imad now to show us. Going for the finish shot into the corner.
Kasa was the man who played it inside to bip it now. What a golazo! That is a real beauty from Igor Ngulu, the top scorer in the Hero Indian Super League.
And that's how the EISL table looks at the moment. Chennai FC leading the pack, followed by FC Goa, Bengaluru FC, and Mumbai City FC in that top four. ATK Mohun Bagan, while in the Hero ISL, are in the middle of the table at the moment. They said rock bottom in the EISL. Shaiju Damodaran, you saw that goal being scored by Igor Angulo, and parallelly Lionel Messi scoring that goal in the EISL as well. Both beautiful left foot strikes, weren't they?
Yeah, see, while we're talking about Lionel Messi, his strength is his left foot. We know the way he is going with the ball on the right and suddenly cutting into the box to the left and using his left foot. And look at that turn and finish of Igor Angulo, which reminds Lionel Messi. Yes, see, we are watching quality goals like Lionel Messi did in Champions League or Copa America or La Liga here in India, in Hero ISL, believe me.
And we can live vicariously through the EISL as well. I mean, so beautiful, right? I mean, in what world could we imagine all of these fantastic world stars playing in the ISL? We've had a few notable names play in the league in the past as well, but always good to play out your fantasies on screen in a way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But guys, going from that now very quickly, since we're nearing the end of the show, another very, very important thing to get through is I had interviewed Mr. Richard Beebe, who's the PG Mall International Referee Development Manager. And as you're aware, the FSDL has come into an agreement with the PG Mall to improve the standard of Indian refereeing over the next few years. And I had a very interesting conversation with him about particularly implementing VAR and what challenges the Premier League faced in implementing VAR. So take a look at this clip and we'll just go through our thoughts on the implementation of VAR potentially in the Hero ISL in the future very quickly. Yeah, and lastly, since you brought up VAR, Richard, on that, how long did it take for the PG Mall to implement VAR in the Premier League? And what are the challenges that the PG Mall faced? And so that if the Indian Super League was to implement VAR going forward, what are the learnings that can be taken from the Premier League's experience, for example?
Okay, it's not a short-term fix. We spent in England 2 years just researching VAR before we did anything. So we looked at how other leagues, other sports use similar. So cricket, which obviously you're very aware of, rugby, etc. So we looked at how versions of VAR were used in other parts of the sporting environment. We then put in place a training program for our referees for when they are VAR operatives. That training program took about 12 to 18 months to get in place and for the referees to feel comfortable. So every week for a season, we did what we called offline training. So we had a VAR operating, but obviously the on-field officials didn't know anything about it during the game. So it took us a long while. We are now in our 4th year of VAR in England live. Our first 2 years were massive learning curves. We didn't get everything right at all. And we probably went far too insular on getting every little decision right. And that's not what VAR is about. VAR is about correcting clear and obvious errors. And we possibly overdid it. So it took us 2 years from going live to learn how to use VAR for its maximum benefit, minimum interference, to a position now in England where the competitions and the spectators are relatively happy on how we use VAR. Big learning curve. If India incorporate VAR, please do not think it's an overnight remedy. It is not. An awful lot of work has got to go into it.
Well, that was some fascinating insight, Mr. Beebe. Thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to seeing this program being successful in the next years.
Well, so am I, and many thanks for the opportunity of meeting you today. And any time, be glad to keep everybody updated on how the plan's moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
And we will ask Mr. Beebe for more updates on how that plan is going as well. But guys, very quickly, your thoughts on that briefly, Pulasta, let's start with you.
No, I think he's right to give any kind of... he's explained the realities of VAR. I know maybe if I was a fan and not involved in the league from the outside, it might be very easy for me to say, and I totally understand this, that, hey, we should have VAR, it solves a lot of things. It does solve a lot of things, but there is a learning curve. And I think the way Mr. Bibi explained the realities of it, the difficulties of it, to eventually get to a point where it makes things so easy, we will have to go through that as well.
Yeah, Varun?
I think it's going to take time, like he mentioned himself. So like implementing, executing all of it is going to take time. And I think it's a very good step, earlier the better. So I think we are looking at a bright future. So like for the development of football, it's not only the players who have to develop, it's also, the other officials, the referees and everyone involved with the game. So a very good step.
Yeah. And finally, you, Chetan?
Of course, the thing is, we can expect VAR in Hero ISL. At least in the coming seasons. So we are, see, everybody, all the fans are waiting because kab aayega, VAR kab aayega, VAR kab aayega bolke. So like Bibi said, we can't do it by overnight. It takes time, but we can at least make sure that it is coming. Process is on.
Yeah, and important to mention over here, Chetan, that VAR, while it does solve a few problems, the end objective is not to interfere in every decision that's being taken on the pitch, and also emboldening the referee on the pitch. In fact, we also touched upon a lot of other aspects with Richard. We spoke about how the current standard of Indian refereing is. He did in fact credit a lot of the Indian referees and said that, don't underestimate the skill set that the referees already possess, because he has been in constant touch with FSDL over the last 3 years as well, of course, in various other programs. So you can catch that full interview on the Hero ISL social channels and particularly YouTube. You can go onto Twitter and find the YouTube link in one of our posts over there. And interestingly, lastly, always important to mention that the referees do, of course, need protection from time to time as well, because they are only human and can end up making mistakes from time to time. But yes, a lot of other things were touched upon with Richard, and you can watch the full interview on the Hero ISL social channels. So that's it, guys. We come to the end of another Let's Football live show. Final thoughts from the crew on what you guys would expect in the coming week, and with of course the fixtures that are coming up. We have a few extremely tasty and spicy ones lined up as well. So which are the ones that you're looking forward to the most out of these, Varun? Let's start with you.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Red and Gold Brigade, registering their first victory. SC East Bengal playing Kerala Blasters and also Northeast United. So I think Shaiju sir will not be, smiling about the Kerala Blasters match. But anyway, like they're the only team right now who have not registered a single victory. So I'm looking forward to that. And yes, that's how the table looks like. I think the Marinas coming back on the top 4. That's also I'm hoping for.
Yeah, Chetan, that game, KBFC versus SC East Bengal, are you going to be in constant touch with Varun throughout that game? Are you guys going to be texting each other depending on how it's going?
I always do respect my dear friend Varun, but the reality is, we just saw the point table. SC East Bengal is the bottom team. So obviously, before that match, in paper and on the ground, Kerala Blasters have a clear-cut edge over East Bengal in that match. So the question is, so the question is, can Kerala Blasters make it 2 in a row, which will be big for them to further move. So another match is the ATK Mohun Bagan match also coming up this week. Right. So can ATK Mohun Bagan come back to the winning base again, because two consecutive defeats in a row, unbelievable, right, surprising. So they have to come back. And one more match, I think 100th game for Sunil Chhetri today, Bengaluru versus Goa. Right. So it's a landmark record game for the captain, leader, legend. So he is standing at 47 number of goals. So can he record match? Can he break that record? The 2 questions coming week. And Suyash, without mentioning Murtada Fall, we can't wind up this episode of Let's Football Live. 15 goals, 15 headers. Murtada Fall, the real headmaster of LFL and Hero ISL.
Using his head quite literally. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And to good measure.
too good measured as well. Pulas, like you do on the football pitch in the morning football. I saw you scoring a goal, by the way, the other day. I was just walking past the game, and I saw you with some neat 1-2 build-up plays. So yeah, there might be something to all that talk. I will concede that. But guys, it's been an absolute riot once again. Thank you so much for your presence. You grace us with every week. Since we were on Kerala Blasters, it would be fitting to wind up with a message that our dear friend Pulas here was very, very kind in having recorded for us by Ivan Vukomanovic when he met the Kerala Blasters manager. And this is what Vukomanovic had to say as a message for Kerala Blasters fans as they play SC East Bengal on Sunday. Till then, it's bye-bye from all of us at the LFL Crew.
See you.
Okay, coach, a message for the fans. Finally, a win. What is the feeling? Of course, you miss them. Just some words for them.
I think that it would be even better feeling if it was in our stadium in Kochi, because all these things, actually, the football, we are playing football for the fans, and we are very sorry that we cannot be with you guys. Right now, we have a positive momentum, and I hope that we will make you happy even more, because I want you to believe that these boys, they're working hard. They are improving a lot. They're working hard. They're doing good, and hope that they will bring more joy and happiness to all of you. So, and hope to see you soon.